couple of us, welcome back.
To our newcomers, welcome aboard. What we'll do right here is give you a brief introduction of the history of the ship. We will start by building her. We'll then go through Royal Mail service. We'll fight a World War. We'll go back to our normal passenger elegance. We'll then have a nice retirement right here in Long Beach, California. I will begin with the Queen Mary. It was originally owned and operated by a company known as the Cunard Line. It would start in 1839. This company would sign a contract with the British government. This contract said that Cunard was going to haul mail from Europe to America. This is where she would get RMS from. RMS stands for Royal Mail Ship. In 1926, Cunard announced they were going to build the world's fastest and largest ocean liner. They would call this project number 534. In 1930, at the John Brown Shipyard in Lightning, Scotland, construction would begin on project number 534. But after just 1 year of hard work, the construction was put to an immediate halt. And this was due to the Great Depression. It had set in and hit Cunard pretty hard. Cunard was out of money. So what did Cunard do? Well, they went to the British government to seek out a loan. The British government said, that's a great idea. I'd love to give you guys a loan. Only under one circumstance. You agree to merge with your rival ship company, the White Star Line. Is anybody here familiar with the White Star Line? What are they famous for?
Titanic.
Titanic, very good. Now we do know at that time Titanic only had half a voyage. Fun fact, the Queen Mary had 1,001 successful voyages, a lot more than the Titanic. Well, Cunard did not have a choice but to agree on this offer. The two companies, they would merge together. They became known as the Cunard White Star Line. Once again, construction would resume on project number 534. Over the next few years of work, she would be ready in 1934. They would launch her to the River Clyde, and she would take on her name, the RMS Queen Mary. However, she did not set sail on her maiden voyage just yet. She would still need 2 more years of work to add her finishing touches. They would add her 27 boilers, her 4 propellers, her 4 engines, as well as her upper deckings. 2 years later, on May 27, 1936, the RMS Queen Mary set sail on her maiden voyage out of Southampton, England. Now, her usual route would be from Southampton, England, with a short stop in Cherbourg, France, down to New York City. She could complete this journey in 4.5 to 5 days. That is very fast for a ship this size. Now, she would do this route all the way up until 1939. In 1939, she was on her normal course to the New York Harbor. She had a telegraph, and this telegraph said, "Dock in New York Harbor and do not move for any reason. The waters are now dangerous. War has been declared on Germany. The Second World War has just begun." Further notice would come around in 1940. She would be drafted by the British Admiralty for active war duty service. They would paint her all battleship gray so she could blend in with the Atlantic fog. They would decorate her with 27 anti-aircraft guns for her own personal self-defense. She would take on the nickname, the Grey Ghost. She would serve throughout the Second World War as a troop carrier, a hospital ship, and after World War II, she did have one more mission. This mission is what we would call the Bride and Baby Shuttle. A mission where the Queen Mary would reunite all the war brides that got married during war times to their new husbands and their new homes. She would do this up until 1947. In 1947, she would then resume back to her normal passenger elegance. She would sail for another 20 years, known as the stateliest ship on the 7 seas, transporting the rich, the famous, celebrities, politicians, and many more, all the way up until the early 1960s when Cunard noticed another problem set in. And this problem was that Cunard was losing money. They were losing money very quickly. Not only were they losing money in the 60s, but they were also losing passengers. There was more crew members than passengers on these voyages. This was because jet air travel was now invented. Flying on a jet airplane was now the primary source across the Atlantic Ocean. Airplanes were faster, they were cheaper, and they were just more convenient. For passengers to get across the ocean in a few hours on an airplane, after a few days on an ocean liner. Ultimately, this would take out all ocean liners, and what Cunard did is put the RMS Queen Mary up for auction. Now we would have a total of 14 bids coming in. I'm going to tell you just the top 3. Coming in at number 3 was the city of New York. New York had plans to turn the RMS Queen Mary into a floating high school. Coming in at number 2 would be the city of Philadelphia. Philadelphia had plans to turn the Queen Mary into a floating casino. At this point, everybody was sure Philadelphia was going to win the bid and get the ship. Well, at the very last second, a small town known as Long Beach, California, would place a $3.45 million bid, and the RMS Queen Mary was sold to the city of Long Beach. She would set sail on her 1,001st, last successful voyage out of Southampton, England, on October 31st, 1967. Now to mention, this was a 39-day voyage, because at that time, the Queen Mary was 8 feet too wide to fit through the Panama Canal. So she'd have to travel down around South America, Cape Horn. Up in Long Beach, California, she would arrive here on December 9, 1967. Immediately upon arrival, construction plans would begin to turn her into a floating hotel. floating tourist attraction in the floating convention center you see here today. Our doors would open up to the public in 1971. And in 1993, we were added to the National Register of Historic Places with Historic Significance. In 2019, we do celebrate 52 years of her arrival right here in Long Beach, California. She's no longer part of our history here in Long Beach, but she was out at sea. Now, all that being said, are we ready to begin? So if you please follow me to the main floor. This was first-class passenger territory and first-class passenger territory only. Second and third-class passengers may not come up here into the main hall. However, first-class passengers, they can go into second and third class as freely as they would like. Now, first-class passengers, they're going to relax, socialize, souvenir shop, and possibly have a drink at the observation bar if they would like to do so. Our main hall looks pretty much the same as it would have looked like back in 1936. All you need to do is take out these two flat screen TVs, you have your original main hall. Now, the flooring pattern. The flooring pattern looks the same as it would have looked like back in 1936. However, the material is different. The original material they would have used would have been Rust-Oleum or corkwood. They used this type of material for two reasons. Number one, it was easier to clean up. The Queen Mary, she had a nickname. She was known as the Rolling Mary because she would rock back and forth so often, this would cause passengers here to get very seasick aboard the ship. Rust-Oleum and corkwood was easier to clean the seasickness up with rather than carpet. Now, not only was Rust-Oleum and corkwood easier to clean up, but it was also easier to dry up. During rough weather, waves would get just as high as those promenade deck windows you see there. And on occasions, these waves would break right through the windows and water would pour into the main hall here. Rust-Oleum and corkwood was also easier to dry up. Now, the Queen Mary, she did have another nickname. She was known as the Ship of Beautiful Woods. The Queen Mary has 56 different woods decorated in her interior. 39 of them are right here on display in the marquetry panel. 6 of these woods we believe are to be extinct today. You cannot find these woods anywhere else in the world, but right here aboard the RMS Queen Mary. Right this way, please. Was anybody on for 39 days? Yes, we did have passengers on that voyage, and actually the ticket prices would have went up along with that 1,000 first class. Now, just to cover this, in the beginning, you will see these hooks, they're placed all over the ship. What Cunard stewards would do is they would hook ropes to these hooks. First class passengers, they could shimmy their way across the main hall in different areas of the ship without tumbling down the stairs right there because that nickname she had, the Rolling Mary. Now you may be asking, why did she rock back and forth so often? Well, we were a Royal Mail ship. We were not a cruise ship. Whenever a storm comes in, a cruise ship will go around the storm to keep the ride as smooth as possible for passengers. We were a mail ship, so it would be mail first, passenger second. When a storm came in, we would go right through that storm because we had to be somewhere at a certain time. Also, she did not have stabilizers up until 1958. Now what I will do is go over what some of these shops would have originally been back in 1936. Starting here on our starboard side, this shop originally here would have been the W.H. Smith & Sons Bookshop. That is still an active running company today. You can still see it today in airports. Now this wood here, it is a cherry mahogany which is imported from West Africa. Here on the port side, we have Malibu Wines. Originally, that would have been our first class tobacco and candy shop. Now, this wood here is a cedar wood, which is imported from Honduras.